What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of RJ's Reviews. The studio's a bit of a mess right now, but I am on a 2-week break for school, so I thought I'd do something because I've actually got all this time to make some content. And so I ended up going to Harbor Freight today, and I bought their excuse for a multimeter. So, how good is it? Don't speak about it much. I am very much into electronics and electronic equipment. I like breadboard stuff. Not gonna lie, it's pretty fun if you're into that. So this is what actually got to me about it. Now I know of a few people. There are actually a few people who watch this channel who actually have one of these. And what's funny is that I actually know what this thing runs off of without even having to take it apart. Let me see if I can pull it out. Yeah. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. If you aren't familiar with Centec or the brands that are in today's video, Centec is the store brand for places like Harbor Freight. Their products are known for not really being exceptionally good. I mean, this is okay, I guess, but yeah, a lot of the stuff that they have at Harbor Freight, it can be good, but at times it can cross the line, and this is definitely putting it to that kind of threshold. Yeah, so without even taking it apart, I can easily tell what it runs off of. It runs off of this chip. I know I have a hard time with autofocus, so I'm trying to get a DSLR. But it runs off of the LM or the UM7106 chipset. Now, this chipset was actually very common in meters of the 80s, and it's actually not digital. It's actually hybrid, kinda. It has an ADC in it, but the only real logic circuitry is in the part that puts it on the 7-segment display, which the datasheet calls the annunciator circuit. The chip was released in the mid-80s, yeah. And I can easily identify it because that chip actually has a hold pin, has a hold function similar to this meter, and it can do AC voltages apparently. I don't know how they're able to do it with hertz, but I'm pretty sure there's some kind of mod in this version of the chip. The chip has been made so commonplace that a lot of companies are able to get it in the CPU die and in die form, and they could just, for like a good cent, and then just put it under an epoxy blob, and you have a multimeter. So let's unbox this thing. Alright, so I managed to open up the box. That was the hardest. That was not really a box, but it was the hardest thing to work with. Here's the manual. Let's see. This is a... Wow, this thing released in 2004. 2004, that's very old. Let's see. This can't be a Harbor Freight product without having the... where is it? Let's see. Electrical shock. Where's the ANSI-approved safety glass? There it is! Rule 21! Wear ANSI-approved safety goggles during use. I don't have any, so I'm screwed. So let's see. What we got in the back is So on here you got yourself a rubberized thing. This literally accounts for most of the weight on this meter. That's the meter itself. I mean, that is a very quiet selector. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to get this thing in the middle of two. As you can see, you can actually prop up this, but I'm guessing that's because they don't have any of the kickstands like most meters these days do. Like, let me bring out the actual other meter that I mainly use for my day-to-day usage. This is also very old. As you can see, it has the kickstand on the back of it, unlike the other one, which doesn't really have that much on it. And I literally had to destroy the packaging to get this thing open. Now, you're probably wondering, how much did it cost for this meter? What if I told you the entirety of this meter was 22 bucks? Anyway, this is what you get for in terms of probes. I mean, those are probes. I mean, they're sharp, I guess. I mean, they're thin. Let me just unravel these boys and just unsheath them. Yeah. Let me just try that. Let me just stick it into the breadboard, see what that does. Okay, it doesn't really fit into the breadboard, but I was expecting that. A lot of multimeters don't have that. I'm going to put back on that, this red thing. Oh wait, I actually gotta put in the battery. Our good old new leader, Wuhan, 9 volt. Yeah, from new leader. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be a leader for much longer. I mean, I've heard some shocking news about the coronavirus. Yeah, but they're all coming back to life. But all the people with it are using it. I am not going to use my thing. As you can see, we got the battery. Let me just and you can tell these things kinda don't really sell that much, I don't think. I mean, I see a bit of a bulge in the battery, but I don't know. So, let me just get out my screwdriver set from the last video, the last, piece of content that I made. My last actual content episode. And let me just, find the proper one. Got that right there. And let me just get rid of that. Oh wait, I want me 9 volt. Yeah, it's using that chipset that's so old that it uses a 9 volt. Yeah, and both the buttons are actually latching types. There we go. Let's see. That is bare bones right there. It's just so much plastic they wasted just in 9 volts alone, just in a 9 volt thing. That is horrid. Let's see, minus and plus. And there we go. It's right there, and nope, we don't want the screw falling off, so alright. So we're just gonna attach this. Alright. There it is. That's the meter itself. Now, before we do continue, you do get a K-type thermal probe in here. Not the best of twist tying jobs they did. Oh, there we go, it flew off. And they do actually say, and they do mark where you're supposed to plug it in, and it's supposed to be plugged in like that. Like it's a socket kind of deal, it's a socketed kind of deal. Let's see, plus, yeah. I was doing it right. I'm guessing they don't want it to stick in there, I guess. Let's see, yeah. So yeah, if we just test that, we can go into Celsius mode. It's in Celsius, the whole entire thing. Let me just prop that up a bit. A bit of glare reduction. That's a bit too dark. That, yeah, 29, 28, yeah. Let me just get it to body temp. Yeah. Fortunately, the thing doesn't really stick in there that much. Also, it's actually reading it by itself, like 29 degrees Celsius. It's like, doesn't even need the temperature probe. Or is this probe just... Or is this thermocouple being practically useless? Nope, it is useful. It's reading from that. It's just had to add. Alright. What I really don't trust about this meter is the HFE test. Now, I actually, apparently a lot of people have a problem with them, and I've heard a lot of horror stories about how the meters with the HFE tests are always the first to go, and I think this would be a no exception. I'm not going to get the probes. I'm going to put on the probes. I'm going to put on the back thing, on the backing, and let's see. And I'll just bring out a transistor for this one. I'll bring out a good old NPN that I have on my breadboard. Let's see, trannies. That's what I'm looking for. That's the transistor, and let me just, let's see, it's a 22N, so I'm gonna plug it in like that. Okay. Let's see, how's it supposed to go in, like... Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna try and plug it in. It's a very hard socket to go in, to put it into. But yeah, you can do a hold function on it. I mean, it's okay, it's tolerable, I mean, yeah. It's got a hold function. Yep. It's literally what I expect out of it. Let me just put it in its little thing. Now to just test the actual frequency test on it. So it's in kilohertz. It can't do anything but that. And oh, look at the decimal places. I don't know if you could see that, but the decimal points have actual numbers in them. Also, there's a lot of ghosting on this screen. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of ghosting on here. Especially if I try and move the selector switch really fast. Also, I find it really easy to put them in between two different test modes. Like, right now it's in between 200 and 2 micro. Yeah, 200 nano and micro. And then, but yeah, it's got huge ghosting issues on it. But let me just put out a capacitor for that test. It doesn't use... I'm gonna test if it uses it through the probe as well. Let me just test it. That. Okay, 447, and this is a 10... this is a 10 nanofarad, I think. Yep, no, it's actually 10 microfarad, so... Okay, it's reading in the 13s, very inaccurate. That is very inaccurate because this is a 10. I specifically remember this one being a 10. So, I see no accuracy in this one. So let's see. Yeah, no matter what side I put it on, it just reads 13. This is way off. That is not a good reading. Let me just test. Oh, now would be an opportune time to put on to test out the good old good old hold function, 13.16. Now, let's see if it works through the probe test. Let's do a probe check. No, it does not do it through the probes. It always expects it through the socket. So yeah. Let's do a voltage test. Let's see how off that is. For this, I'm going to use my mixing board's XLR inputs on a 48 volts. As you can see, I have 48 volts on the mixing board. And if Behringer says it is 48 volts, which I have confirmed on multiple occasions with other meters, it should read out 48 volts DC. So I have it on VDC right now. So I'm just going to plug that into my XLR input. Now let's see, what does it read? Okay, it reads a tolerable voltage. I mean, 48.5, 48.4. It isn't wrong. It reads perfectly on the 200 mode or the 1000 mode. This is the AC version. Of course, AC will not detect it because it's not really a frequency. Let's try it with, I don't know. Also, these probes aren't the best. I mean, 1000 volts max, Cat 3, and 10 amp, so I debate the quality of them, but let's try with some frequency, I guess. So what am I gonna do to frequency test it? Well, I'm gonna bring out the... So let's test it with our good old test leads, with our power prongs. Okay, it was reading, okay, 0.2... Okay, 0.06 should be good enough. I mean, it's okay, but it's not the best. I'm gonna try it through the mixer this time. Let me just generate like a frequency of 428 kilohertz, or 428 hertz, I guess. I mean, 428 is what they use in a lot of those horrible, it's what they use in those songs about, or one of those studying songs, one of those lo-fi hip-hop things. Actually, I'm gonna, let's see, can I plug it into, Alright, so I have a 1 kilohertz tone playing through the mixing board. I'm going to plug it into the left channel of the 1/4 inch. Okay, it's reading an okay quality one. Stop that now. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but I ran a test tone through it and it said 1 kilohertz. Let's just run a little frequency sweep through it, and yeah, and I think we'll finish, and that will do it for today's video, I guess. Anyway, so I've got Alright, so we've got a frequency sweep going through. So it's gonna go up to 20 kilohertz because, of course, that's when this thing will start overloading or will start giving the OL signal. And so let's just see what it can do for that one. And I got my test leads all in the opposite direction. Let me just fix that one. Okay, it's not reading anything yet because, okay, 0.2, should be at like 0.3 right now. There we go, 0.3. It's gonna start going a bit. Okay, good. Alright, so I took a bit of a look inside of the thing. So it comes off with the little 4 screws after you get past the battery cover. I mean, and on the inside, it's kind of simple. As you can see, the board kind of has this little space up here. It's okay. So this could be some kind of, this must be some kind of capacitor. That says C21 right there. seems a bit bare bones on the input protection. There is the fuse right here. This is a standardized glass one. It doesn't seem like they soldered it down or anything, but if it was soldered down, it would be easy to deal with. You've got all these little chips here. They might be amps. I know on a lot of older meters they actually had like versions of these chips there were like certain chips that would do beeping. There were like dedicated beeper chips. In fact, in this meter, this one on the inside actually has a dedicated beeping chip to access the beeper. But from what I've seen, based on the closeness of this, the actual main chip is underneath here, and it is in an epoxy blob. This must have been a modded version of the chip that I mentioned before I even opened the thing. Due to how close it is, this might be some kind of amp circuit for the speaker, which makes sense because they advertise it as having an audible continuity. And I did run a continuity test on it, and it was quite loud, so this must have been run through some kind of amp circuit. It does say Rev 1.2, so I guess it doesn't, I guess they don't really care for this meter all too much. The only thing that I could see out of the revision is the actual packaging, because when you look at it on, in fact, I think the manual has the image. Where did I put the manual? There's a bit of a difference in like the inputs and stuff. Also the model numbering. So this one is 61593, and on this manual it's written out as P37772. So that's probably the only difference in revisions and stuff. So yeah, there's also that I'm guessing is your current shunt. I mean, it makes some kind of sense because there's the amps and then it goes straight to there, straight into the chipset. Yeah, there's a lot of surface mounted components on here, like these resistors. It's supposed to be a resistor ladder of some kind. They seem to be kind of on the interconnected side. Let me try and zoom in as far as I can. But yeah, they're in a kind of... I mean, there are some that are actual capacitors and some that are resistors. I'm not going to take a look any further than this side of the board, because this is where most of it is. There's the only transistor I've found on here. I'm not going to take a look any further on this board, because this is all the components on here. So on the other side, it would be probably just a few copper traces in a circular pattern for the selector switch, and yeah. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Although this meter isn't really the best for many things, the input protection is a bit odd. There's not very much of it on there. A lot of the stuff in here is very replaceable, but you can't really do stuff with the chip. I find that the continuity buzzer on this thing is good. Comes with the thermal stuff, so if you do want to test thermal stuff and things, it's good for that. But yeah, overall it's an okay meter. There's another one that I'm going to be planning on reviewing, and if I ever get onto Amazon or I get money for it, there's another one that I'm planning on reviewing. That's a small bit more expensive than this one. That's actually auto-ranging and at a higher resolution. So, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the best value for money on that one. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. And I am a bit shocked that this meter is actually original. Actually, I took a look on a lot of websites and stuff, and after searching for this meter, I could only find it on Harbor Freight's website. So at least it's original, and it's not like their $7 model of this one, which you could actually get for like $2 from eBay. I think it is like $2 like a metric ton of the smaller counterpart for it. But anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video. And if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you want to see that other video about that other meter, leave a like for that. Subscribe for that. You probably don't want to miss it. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. And bye.